What we're doing in this video is something a bit different. We are recording live with someone who I'm sure some of you, maybe a lot of you, will know from his social media endeavours. And the reason we're doing this on EveryTool TV, instead of just talking about tools or showcasing a new product, is because personally my background is in digital media, digital marketing, content creation, etc. And I thought it'd be a good idea to have a video where, as a company, we as EveryTool do our best to help you guys learn some better techniques for using social media, social networks and digital content to market yourselves and your business. So to that end, I'm joined by Gus Kearney from Couple of Tools. Gus, how are you getting on?
Not bad, Mark. Yourself?
Well, now that we've managed to get some semblance of a recording going, I'm doing a little bit better. My blood pressure will probably start to come down quite quickly. This is our first attempt at trying something like this. Normally we would just get together, wouldn't we? Get the cameras out and we would record something. But anyway, there we go. We're not in a position to do that currently. No. Can you just sort of introduce yourselves to those who might not have heard of you and your business?
Sure. My name's Gus. I'm the owner of Couple of Tools, based here in Erskine, just outside Glasgow in Scotland. More or less a multi-trade company. I cover multiple trades myself, joinery, electrical, plumbing, tiling, plastering, decorating, etc. I kind of specialise in bathrooms and kitchens. Been established for just over 10 years now. Took my social media, I kind of started social media maybe about 10 years ago on Facebook, and about 5 years ago joined Instagram, and it's just been kind of growing since then.
How many followers have you got on Instagram?
Just
Right, so your audio glitched out there, Gus. You're going to need to say that again.
Just shy of 33,000 followers on Instagram.
33,000 followers on Instagram. Okay. We've spoken about this before, but it'd be good if you explain to the folks that are watching how you split your uses between Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to just talk us through your approach to both. Well, I'll start with Facebook, first of all.
Well, with Facebook, that's what I started with initially when I came to social media. Facebook I generally use as a client-based platform, so more or less to showcase my work. I categorise them into albums from start, middle and finish, and I'll add to the albums and just try and keep the page relevant. I try not to bring it to a trade focus, just purely because a lot of the clients will lose interest quite quick. I try not to just put up like showroom kind of finished pictures. I like to kind of show all the nitty gritty of kind of ripping everything out and resheeting, new pipe work, new electrics, just to show what's involved within a job. Then about 5 years ago, I joined the kind of Instagram side of things, and I tried to make that more a trade base. As I started, I didn't really understand how it actually worked. Just tried a couple of kind of hashtags and just kind of grew and grew. And from there, that's how I can establish it. As I said, Instagram's more trade-based and Facebook I use more as a client base.
Okay, so for a tradesman watching this and they've already got a Facebook page set up, how would you advise them to approach capturing content to put onto their Facebook page in order to attract new customers?
Well, most important thing definitely is to make sure that you're relevant. There's nothing worse if a client's going to go to your page and they'll go, let's have a wee look at their work, and they realise your last post was a year and a half ago. They're kind of going, why are they not posting, or is the business still going? So I try and, the way I work it is between Monday and Friday at the end of my job, kind of clear everything up, take some pictures and add them to the album that I've created for the actual project itself.
You and I have spoken in the past about the importance of the so-called thumb-stopping content. So the idea behind that was, people that are scrolling through their social media feeds and they see a bit of content that causes their thumb to literally stop. How do you make sure you've got content that, if whether it's on Facebook in general or on a community page, people will stop on your posts?
Well, your most important thing is your first picture that you're going to post up to that album or that amount of pictures you're going to be putting up in one go, make sure your first picture is catching your eye. So
time for bed.
Sorry. Make sure that first picture is catching your eye. So make sure you get some good lighting, get some good close-ups of what it is that you want to show off. If you start off with, say, you've ripped out a project and you're just looking at a couple of rubble bags, it was the last picture you took, so you just put it up first, it's not going to grab any attention. So you want to kind of go, well, this is what I'm wanting to showcase. Make sure that first picture is grabbing the people to actually look and go, well, what else is amongst this? So they'll stop scrolling and kind of go in amongst your other pictures. So that's definitely the most important thing.
Now, it's something we've discussed previously. You mentioned the importance of getting not just before pictures and after pictures, but during the actual work that you do, taking pictures during that, and also the importance of tidying up before you take the pictures. Why is that so important?
Well, to start with the kind of pictures during, I'd say that's probably more important than your finished pictures, because it shows to your customers the amount of care and attention you're going to. So whether if you're doing a bathroom, for instance, they want to see that you're not just covering up existing work, it was already there. You're ripping everything back, you're resheeting it, you're insulating it, you're waterproofing it. Show all the amount of work that's actually going into the job, because when you put up the finished pictures, you don't actually see, it might look great as a finished picture, but it doesn't show how much work you've actually put into it. It gives customers that kind of satisfaction that they're secure to go with you. So the in-between pictures is the most kind of important part. And I say that's probably what has grabbed a lot of attention to my actual Facebook page itself. And as you were saying about kind of clearing up, sorry.
No, that was my point, because obviously a customer comes home from work at the end of the day. Do they want to walk into a building site?
No, exactly. It's what they're going to remember as well, is the care and attention you went to. You've cleared everything up, you've bagged it, you've taken it out, you've swept, you've hoovered, you've wiped down windows, wiped down any dust, because in that type of environment, you're going to get that. There's no way of avoiding that. So the best thing to do is to take as much care as you can. And so when you're taking your pictures, make sure you've kind of cleared everything up first, get your pictures, because even when it comes to the Instagram side of things, the amount of people, actual tradespeople that have come in and went, with the amount of work that's involved, I don't understand how you manage to keep your site so clean. I just make sure that's the most important thing, is make sure everything is clean before you start taking your pictures, because you don't want to show that you've left all smashed glass in the floor and all that sort of thing. It's like, especially if someone's wanting to hire and they've got kids in the house, or elderly parents or anything like that, you just want to make sure that everything's safe and everything's out the way and you've left a nice, clean, tidy job.
Brilliant. Obviously, the taking of the photographs is the second most important thing. Then once you've, as you say, you've cleared up and you're ready to start taking the pictures, then you need to actually take the pictures. For all, we've all got these things in our pockets, and the cameras in them are getting better and better. That doesn't mean that the photographs we take are getting better and better. There's a wee bit of a skill to it. What tips would you have for a tradesman to take better pictures with his phone?
Well, it doesn't have to be the best camera. See any content you're going to be taking, get it on your page. That will keep your page relevant. But if you want to go into more kind of depth, as I said, most phones nowadays that any tradesman's going to have is a smartphone. So you've got the options of kind of high definition pictures. Make sure you've got really good lighting. Get some nice close-ups, just things like that. So
is somebody that's produced, I don't know, it must be close to 3,000 videos for YouTube for various different clients, including tool manufacturers and tool retailers over the years. Lighting is really, really important for videos and for photographs. So I've got a couple of lights here. I've got a big LED light here, and I've got a light behind me that's sort of casting a bit of colour, just to kind of brighten things up. I don't think either of us would suggest that guys are bringing video style lighting onto the job site, but
no,
you can make
definitely not.
You've already got, can't you?
Yep. Well, for instance, I did have it on earlier on, but I was finding it too bright. You'll probably see how bright I am there. At the end of the day, that is just an actual DeWalt tool itself, a portable light, and I've used that for the additional lighting. So if you feel that you're on a job and you've you've ripped all the lighting out, it's going to happen. So if you ripped out and you go, it's not really bright enough, now you're taking these dark and dreary pictures, bring a bit of light in. It doesn't have to be any specialist photography lighting. So whatever you've got, even if you've got a torch, a head torch, just put it in a corner, shine the work that you've got there. As I said, you want to be bright and you want it to be eye-catching.
Yeah, and personally, a tip would be if it's a super bright light, then that don't feel you need to dial down the brightness, but bounce the light into a corner, bounce the light 45 degrees away from the area of the room that you're trying to take a picture of, or even shoot a wee video of. That will actually soften the light, because it will bounce around the room and it will create a better light for you to take pictures in. Another tip that maybe guys working in a house might not think about, if you have got an artificial light source like the one that you just showed there, place it where the window is and shine it into the room. That's going to create a sense of daylight filling the room, because typically those lights that you've got, that they're rated for daylight, so which is like 5600 Kelvin or something like that. Place it at the window and shine it into the room. That's going to create what looks like a room full of daylight, and the human eye will pick up on that, and they're going to see a bright and inviting room, even if it is in the middle of being renovated. It's going to look more realistic to them. What sort of gadgets do you use to take your pictures? Obviously, we've mentioned the using phones, but I know you're versed to a bit of gadgetry.
No, definitely not. I like my technology. But 6 years ago, I kind of started doing some time-lapse videos. I'd never seen anyone within the trade do anything like it. I thought I would give it a try to see how well it would actually work out. I thought just taking a frame every 60 seconds and then compile all the footage. I'm talking over the whole job itself. There was 40,000 pictures, and at that point, because there was no software to do that, I had to manually put all these pictures in. But I created the video and I put it up, and it done really well on YouTube. And that was based off a kind of GoPro style camera. It was an Eye on the Air at the time. But GoPro cameras, I've got a kind of replica version of that, which is fantastic. A lot of they're cheap as well, and they'll shoot in 4K. So if you want to shoot video footage or even pictures, and not just that, you've not got that kind of complete flat 2D. You've got kind of fisheye lens. You've got a lot of variance there, especially if you're working in small spaces. I mean, the iPhone's great that I've got just now, because it's got that kind of fisheye option. But a lot of phones that are out there, a lot of Android phones that don't have that option. So the cheap cameras that you can pick up for £20-30 have got that fisheye lens. So you can you'll see a lot of kind of property developers and estate agents, and when you see the pictures of the rooms, you go, that looks absolutely massive. Then you go to see the job and go, it's not as big as it looked. It's purely just down to the camera angle and the lenses that they're using. But you don't need the £2,000-4,000 camera or yourself. You know what I mean? We're going to over and above that. I mean, these cameras, it's great. At the end of the day, it's a building environment. You don't want to be bringing a £5,000-10,000 camera into a dusty environment or something that's got a very high humidity area. So these cameras are great. I keep them in a wee flight case between my GoPro, and I've got I use Insta360 cameras. Started doing kind of 360 views, so that customers, when they were actually on social media, they could click on it and they could actually scroll throughout the room. So that way it looks, when generally you'll find when people are actually taking pictures, it's like you don't know what's behind them, what they're not showing you. So that's why I introduced the 360 camera, so that customers can kind of go, well, I want to see what's in that corner, I want to see what's up there, how have they done that there. So I introduced that a few years ago, and then from there I've got some kind of action cameras. So I use the Insta360 Go, which got magnetic mounts, etc. Again, fisheye lens, but it's the size of my thumb. Fantastic camera. But there's that many cameras, and you could go crazy with them. As I say, I do love capturing content and getting it on social media, and it's definitely went well.
Okay, so some good tips there. Yeah, I would agree that the sort of generic GoPro equivalent, the action cameras, a lot of them will pair with your phone as well. A lot have got Bluetooth built in, so they'll be able to pair with your phone. You can take the pictures, you can access them on your phone straight away, share them to your social straight away. Another tip from me personally would be get as much content as you can on your phone. These are really, really powerful editing devices as well. And there's a lot of free apps you can get that will allow you to create great content for your socials of the work that you're doing. So one app that's worth looking up is called Snapseed, all one word. It's a photo editing app. There's another app called Spark Video and Spark Post. They're apps that are developed by Adobe, and they allow you to edit photos and video, add text, etc. So capture the content, get it onto your phone, and then sit at night and just tweak the images and get them ready for your socials. But I thought your tip earlier on, Gus, about sort of creating folders of content on Facebook where you'll show a complete job, start to finish, that allows a customer to visualise what you're going to do in their home when they hire you to do a job. Right, so I think we need to move from Facebook on to Instagram, and you said Instagram is more trade-based, is that right?
Yeah. I'd say there's probably only 5 to 10% that are actually client-based on there. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of kind of DIY enthusiasts on there as well that follow me, and I think that kind of gives them the inspiration to kind of go, I can give that a go, you know. But Instagram's definitely more trade-based, and I'd say Facebook is more community-based. It's more within my area. Instagram literally is worldwide. I mean, I've got followers for Canada, America, Japan, China, Netherlands, France, Germany. You know, they're all over, and they've all got the same passion where it comes down to the kind of tips and tricks of the trade and methods, right down to tools and transportation and just things like that. That's why with the cameras that I've got, I try and shoot extra content where I'm using a certain type of drill or I'm using a certain type of saw. Would I recommend it over another? So it's the things that I wouldn't put on Facebook to a client. A client doesn't want to know what type of drill that is, how many newton meters of torque has it got. You know, it's where your trade guys are going, well, I've got these 3 drills I've looked at and I don't know what's better for what I'm looking at. So that a lot of the content I'm putting on there is trade based. So I'm showing how many newton meters it's got. I'll show how strong it is, how good the cut is, how clean the cut is, you know, things like that. So I'd say my Instagram has probably got 30% more content than what I'm putting on Facebook, just purely because I do separate the two of them. But because of the extra content, I have got a bigger following on Instagram, and it's been fantastic for me, as I said. And I really enjoy doing it. A lot of people say, I don't know where you find the time, but as you said, it's you're sitting down you finish your tea, you have a cup of coffee. Upload your pictures, just get chatting with people. Use Instagram as a kind of it give you the confidence to have the ability to go and try something new. Don't shy away from it. And I'd like to think I'm kind of part of that, because a lot of people have messaged me just saying, look, love the content you do. I would never have dreamed of giving that a try. I've only ever been an electrician, but I hung my first door the day and I painted it, and I've done that, you know. So it's fantastic to kind of see that I've reached people on that, where they're expanding their knowledge and giving everything a bash. It's really good.
One of the things that I think you're probably best known for on Instagram, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the van. Would I be right in saying that?
Nah.
Right, okay. So I think
I'd say that.
And I know the people watching this that are familiar with you, not because of the refits you've done in customers' houses. They couldn't care less about that, but it's the van. Yeah. So we need to talk about the van. What's the story behind the Tough Van?
Right, the story behind it. When I first started trading, I kind of grew up with Ford Transits, you know, so I grew up between the Mark II, the Mark III, etc. And then when I went self-employed just over about 11 and a half years ago, I got myself a Mark V Transit. It done me. It was a cheap van, and then as time progressed and I got a bigger client base, etc., I moved on to a Mark VI, and then I moved on to a Mark VII, each time going bigger. So I started with the short wheelbase, medium wheelbase, and then I got the jumbo. But when I had the Mark VII jumbo, and we're going back maybe 8 years now, I'd seen a van from Michael Gaspiek over in the Netherlands, and it was a yellow Sprinter, and he just kitted this van out, and it was all DeWalt. I'm a big fan of DeWalt myself. But I thought I couldn't do that. At the time, I had a mixed match of tools, from Makita to Festool to you name it. I kind of had it all in the van, but it was all mixed match, and it suited me at the time. So I kind of followed his work and it was a kind of dream for about 4 or 5 years to actually do one, but I thought I've never really had to push. And then my van was broken into at Christmas time and all my tools were wiped out. And I thought, right, I really need to kind of start. So I thought I'm going to dedicate myself to a set brand, which was DeWalt at the time. And they moved over from the NiCad to the lithium-ion range. And I thought, I'll give it a try. Fell in love with it, absolutely loved it. And I kept building it up. But I still never had the van that I wanted. You know, I seen Michael's and it was inspiration. It was something to move forward to. So went on the hunt and I finally found this black jumbo transit that I wanted, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to take the time off. So I took 2 months off, sold my old van, and I used that as a kind of income and to help do the rack of the build. And it was literally 5 years of planning of what I wanted to put in. And I spent the 2 months building that and getting it the way that I wanted it. I enjoyed it, and every time I went to the builders merchants, people come over, I said, oh, can I have a look at your van? That looks absolutely fantastic. I'm like, no bother. Then I already had the Instagram sides going just with my work and my tools, and I thought, I'll put the van up and just see if there's any interest. Literally overnight, it was 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I thought, oh, well. So I was putting more content in of the actual van itself, and then people saying, how do you rack that? What type of lighting do you use? What security have you got? What sound system have you got? Because I just went over the top with everything. Because at the end of the day, security is a must. You know, when you're carrying that amount of stuff in the van, I had to make sure if I'm going to be posting this on social media, I need to make sure this is secure. So before I put a single tool into it, I just put a couple of grand's worth of security into it to make sure that I can sleep at night knowing that anyone goes near it, I'm going to know all about it. And as I said, it's just people went crazy for it on Instagram.
It is a stunning van, and you and I, we'd been in touch via one of my previous clients, and you brought the van over to their premises one time. I think it was Christmas 2018, I think it was. Yeah, Christmas 2018.
That's about right, yeah.
Yep, and I witnessed myself the response it received. You've also had it over at the EveryTool premises. That was, I think, earlier on this year. And again, folk were sort of having a nosy. What's the story with the van, mate? It is quite remarkable. And if you've seen the video that we've done for Tipping Edge Saw Blades, the one that Gus is in, you get a glimpse inside the van. You see how well organised it is. What plans have you got for the van going forward, Gus, or is it finished?
It'll never be finished. Always chopping and changing. As I said, it was 5 years of planning, but since then, you know, it's new tools come out. It's making space for the new tools. I mean, I could literally fill 2 vans worth of what I've got. Try to arrange it and organise it in a way that I know where everything is. Everything's secure. There's nothing worse than going around a corner and you just hear a thud in the back of the van. You're like, oh. So thankfully, I don't have anything like that in my van where there is no sound at all from the back, so I know everything's kind of secure. But I am always expanding with my tools. I mean, I've got my tough rack that I put together and I kind of welded up. DeWalt released something similar a couple of years later. Where the boxes are all secure and separate from each other, so I can pull out a box halfway down a stack, pull out what I need and put them back on, and they just click into place. There's no additional there's no bungee cords, there's no anything like that, there's no chance that anything can fall over. So just now the van's going. I've put a lot of time, money, effort, sweat, blood and tears into the engine and all that sort of thing to make sure I kind of get an extra few years. So kind of living each day as it comes. It could just take something to go and I'll go, well, I might get inspiration, try something else new. But just now she's touch hairy wood, she's still going strong.
So we started off talking about how you use Facebook and that helps you attract clients, then morphed into how you use Instagram and the role that the van plays on Instagram, particularly for other tradespeople, and it maybe gives them a bit of inspiration. But has the van landed you customers? You know, have you been booked for a job based on the van?
Definitely. I could be working the street. My van's not sign written. I can't take on the demand itself. I mean, my books go quite far. So it's quite hard to get a booking, which is a great position to be in and only kind of cover within a 5 mile radius of my home. But it's times I could be working in the street. And literally our customers come over and say, that's a really clean van. It just shows really good work ethics, you know, and it stuck with me that your van is a true representation of your work ethics. So if your van's that clean and tidy, it's like, what's your work going to be like, you know? It doesn't mean that anyone that's got a dirty, messy van, you know, I know it's like 4 or 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, you just kind of want to pack up and go. But it's keeping it maintained. If you do rack it in a way that everything does have a place, it stays clean and tidy. As you said, customers have seen the van and they booked me and they wanted to wait for that booking purely based on the van itself.
So I think we've kind of covered a fairly wide variety of things, and I'm confident there's been some stuff that we've talked about, some tips from yourself, maybe some of the things I've said that would help tradespeople listening to this figure out how best to use social media, Facebook and Instagram in particular, and the importance of having a clean and tidy van that's well racked out and organised, like the Tough Van.
Yeah.
For those that don't know you on social, Gus, where can they find you, or how can they find you?
It's a couple of tools. So it's couple A tools. You can get me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Do have other platforms. I don't use them as much. That's my kind of 3 main ones. So my YouTube is purely, again, YouTube is very much like my Instagram. It's got my work on there, but it's also tools, tips, tricks, things like that. Facebook, more client-based. So if you want to see more of the work that I do, kitchens, bathrooms, bedrooms, things like that, you'll see that more on Facebook. And Instagram is kind of a mix of everything on there. So if you want to check me out, so it's a couple of tools.
Cool, brilliant. And before I let you go, any final words, or have we covered it?
The only thing I'd like to say is I quite enjoyed this session, though it was quite hard to kind of get it together. But if we were to do one again, if you've got any questions, anyone that's kind of watching the video just now, if you'd like us to do something like this again in the future, ask questions to myself or Mark. I'm sure we'd love to do it again, hopefully get it set up and a bit smoother next time.
Definitely, we'll work on getting the software. I might need to go a wee bit old school and use OBS Studio, and we might need to live stream it next time. We might need to just go straight forward.
Can give it a go.
The questions coming in live. Okay, thanks for watching, folks. Gus, thanks for joining us in this first video of its type from EveryTool. As Gus said, leave your comments wherever you see this, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, or if you've seen a snippet on Instagram or Twitter. EveryTool UK is where you can find us in these social channels. Leave a question or a comment, give us some feedback, and yeah, we might just follow it up with another video from Gus. In the meantime, Gus, thanks for joining me, and thanks to you guys for watching.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.